Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jolie and I'm going to be showing you how I take notes on both GoodNotes and Notability. So before we dive in, I want to just go over my equipment and frequently asked questions. So I'm currently in junior year of high school. I'm not in college, so I'm not demonstrating off of professor lectures or anything. This is just class notes from a pretty traditional average high school. The equipment that I have is the iPad Air 4 2020, the Apple Pencil Generation 2. This is the case I have on it. It is no longer available on Amazon, but I will be linking a similar one if I can find it. All of my equipment for my iPad is linked at this URL here. It'll also be down in the description below. I have a page on my website for all iPad related things. If you're new to the iPad note-taking world, I will also be linking a playlist of all my iPad videos in case you're interested. So GoodNotes is a note-taking app that costs $7.99 USD, and Notability used to also cost a similar price, but now they have made it free with the option to do an annual subscription with more premium features. I paid for Notability at the time when I got it. It is now free, which does one-up it on GoodNotes if money is a concern. What I'm using on Notability, I am not paying for the subscription. That's my point here. So I'm not doing any fancy techniques or anything, so you don't need to pay extra at the moment. You're welcome to just use it as is. GoodNotes is organized like folders on your desktop computer, and in GoodNotes you have notebooks that you make. Within your notebooks you have unlimited pages and a bunch of tools, and you can also very easily switch between notebooks. Notability, however, is more organized like the Notes app on your phone. You can have subjects and then you can have dividers within your subjects. Or without dividers, you can just have your regular notes. These notes are more set up just like single pieces of paper. They're not in a cohesive notebook. You can add multiple pages in a note, but it's not set up or formatted like a notebook like it is on GoodNotes. With Notability, it has many of the same features as GoodNotes. However, Notability does have the feature where you can do an audio recording while you're taking notes, and when you play back through the audio recording you can see what you were writing and when and where, which is very, very helpful, and that I know that draws in a lot of people. This feature also makes it very easy to go back and rewrite your notes and figure out what your professors were saying, what your teachers were saying. I personally use Notability for math, and then for all my other subjects like humanities subjects like social studies and English and also science, I use GoodNotes. It just makes more sense to me in my head because for those subjects I am doing units, so I have sections within my notebook to have my notes. I use Notability for math every single year. For the 2 years that I've had my iPad while having a math class, I like using Notability for math way more because I can divide each note into what we're covering that day. I actually recently just dropped my math class, but I did do a screen recording of when I was taking notes in my math class, so you guys get to see what it's like. But for those, we were doing factoring quadratics, so one note was factoring quadratics, another note was complex numbers, and that's how I organize it for math. And at the very end, I will also show you my sophomore year notes. I think that's all the preliminary stuff I want to get out of the way, so without further ado, let's jump into those screen recordings. Hi everybody, so in order to keep this video as quick and concise as possible, I'm not going to go over how I take notes in Notability, only in GoodNotes, because I made a whole video last year about how I take notes in Notability. It's kind of pointless for me to just rehash that, so I'm just going to link it above right here. Definitely go check that out if you're curious about Notability, and also it has just really good information on it, and it helps a lot. So that's the reason why I'm not going to talk about Notability so much, but more GoodNotes. Okay, so welcome to my Notability. As you can see here on the side, we have these subjects, and then we also have these arrows. In my sophomore year one, I have all the subjects within that divider, and then same for junior year. And then I have two dividers within that, fall and spring semester. So since we're in the spring semester of my junior year. Let's look at these notes. Algebra 2. This is the math class I just dropped actually today, so I don't have many notes on it, but as you can see, like I was saying previously, I label them by what I'm talking about. So this bottom one is polynomials and degrees, complex numbers, retests, all this fun stuff. I'm not going to show you how I rewrite them because I don't have a reason to rewrite these notes anymore, but I will show you what is in them. So in this one, this is polynomials. Only for notability, I use white paper, and for good notes, I use black paper. So for this note and under polynomials, I did this big header so I can see what it is. This right here is me defining what polynomials mean, and then underneath it, all the other like branches, I guess you could say. This is kind of messy here, but also degrees. This chart is really, really helpful. So it's like says the number of degrees and then like the terminology for it. Moving right along. Here is a note that shows you the answers and how I like to highlight them. When I'm just looking at this right away, I can tell that these are all answers. So the blue pen means that that's the answer I'm supposed to get, but I didn't end up coming to that conclusion myself. The red means wrong, and the green obviously means correct. Scrolling down a bit. Here, I love notability because same on GoodNotes, you can hold down and it'll make a straight line for you. So it's really helpful with graphs and things like this. This is the note that I did a screen recording on, so let me show you what that looks like. Finished. Again, I'm not gonna redo this one because honestly, my notes for math are usually a little bit messier and I don't care to redo them as much because I don't need to look back and refer to all that information. I just need to get like the straight like facts and equations and everything. This is the one that I did in class. This is not that complex. I thought it was gonna be a more complex one, but as you can see, I will do arrows to point to terminology, which is very helpful. And then usually I do this for all my notes. I write on the left side and then I do like terms and images and practice on the right. That is math notes notability. I will show you what my other notes looked like. So honors US history and then my English class. So for history, we did stuff like this. This, I tried to do the black paper. I just didn't really like it on notability. I have no idea why. There's like no good reason for me to not like it on notability. However, that's what I did. I also did dotted because I thought I would like that better, but I just don't. I think the reason why I don't like the black is because my highlighter doesn't show up and I really like using the highlighter function on notability and not so much GoodNotes. Couldn't tell you why, but that's just how it goes. This is what a history note looks like for me. Let's look at an English note. That's an English note. I don't even remember the context for this one. See how short these are? These don't really need to be individual files. That's why I like using GoodNotes for English. And then here's one note that I went really try hard on for the Aristotle's rhetoric triangle. It was pretty fun to use it in this context, but I mean, this is me redoing like my notes on notability. I usually don't do this, like I said. So that is notability. Let's hop right over to GoodNotes. So this is your like home page for GoodNotes. So this is my junior year one, and then I divided it up like I did in notability for fall and spring. Let's go into my spring folder. I did have an Algebra 2 notebook here because I thought I was going to use GoodNotes as my primary app for taking notes, but then I changed. So let's go to Honors Anatomy and Physiology. So here's some notes I took today. Very messy, but as you can see, I'm using a lot of like imagery. The top part has the name of my class, my teacher's name, and the room it is, and so I don't want to expose that or anything. So scrolling down. I always make title pages because if you want to search for a page really quick, you can hit these 4 squares up here and you see all the notes you have. So it's really easy for me to pick out where my units start and stop. So unit 1, these are like some of my first notes I ever took. I usually do the title in the brush pen. I will show you how to do that in just a little bit. And then obviously I can use like different widths and stuff like that. So like I was mentioning, I use black paper and grid, not dotted grid or anything on GoodNotes. I don't know why I like one versus the other for one app versus a different one. That's just how my brain works. So these are some more examples of my notes. I insert a lot of images, especially in anatomy, because like it's very important to see like the specific things, and also I can't just draw a body like on command. This is the page I'm proudest of, to be honest. It's so colorful. Like I was saying in the notability section, this side I wrote most of like my actual notes, and then this side I wrote like terms and all this down there. Endotherm versus ectotherm, stuff like that. And then I made like flow charts. I don't know what this E is doing there, but it's there, I guess. And then unit 1, a circ is like a science paper for us. So I was trying to take notes on it, but then I didn't end up really needing it. Unit 2, the skeletal system. Again, this time I labeled it. I said terms on this side, and then I added more pictures. Joints, I played off this like blue motif, so I like went darker as I went on, which is a good way to make your notes look cohesive. And then here comes some really bad drawings. We had to do a workshop thing where we had to draw a bunch of stuff. So these are my drawings. They're pretty bad. And like for drawings, I'm not going to go through and redraw them because there's not really a point. I can also just look at pictures. We did a vibe board discussion about bone diseases. So these are all my notes on everybody's diseases. It's a lot. And I don't think I'm going to rewrite this because this isn't really relevant to any like tests that I need to take or anything. Here we are onto the current unit, muscles. So I have not rewritten anything yet, so I'm actually gonna do that in a bit. I got pictures, got just like messy text. I am using this color because it just matches this color, so it just makes sense in my head for like color association, which is another good method for like picking color themes for your subjects. This is like terms. I didn't have time to write over here like I showed you, but when I redo it, everything will look a lot neater. I missed a day, so I was trying to catch up, and then my teacher gave me some notes and a mini lecture, so got all this, and then this is where we were today, and I took these 8 hours ago. And then we're gonna move on to our new unit, which is the nervous system. I want to take apart my notes and like show you what I was doing, basically the anatomy of my notebooks, which is ironic because I am talking about my anatomy class. As you can see, I have it all laid out here, so I have the cover page and then all these. Black paper for all of it. For the title pages, it's always a blank piece of paper. It's never gridded or anything, and the way you get that is you go to these three dots and you hit change template, black, blank. You also have all these options for paper. So those are all my title pages. Let's go through all my titles and show you what I do for those. So like I said earlier, I usually do a brush, fancy, cursive, calligraphy kind of font. I also do all caps and usually a thicker width to make it stand out a little bit more. I don't use banners that much, but here I did. Usually I will do like a nice cursive header, and then I will do smaller but still thick and capital to make your headers a bit more interesting and make them not just one color cursive all the way through. Here, if we look a little bit closer, I have body membranes in this light green, and then what I did was I copied it and then changed it to a color and put it behind the light green. Actually, I think it was originally the darker green, and then the copy was the light green. So same thing here, you can just see it a little bit more. A good contrast is to do one color but like a darker shade as the main color and then the lighter shade as the behind color. For this, I did the same cursive kind of font, and then I outlined it and gave it depth with just like a thin white pen. Here's a different way to do it. I used the highlighter and then a pen. Here, this is pretty standard, like a cursive and then just like sans serif script, I guess you could say. This is a new one, outlining it in a lighter color. So I have this darker purple, which is outlined the shape in lighter purple, and this just grabs your attention more because it really makes it like stand out amongst all the other color. Here, I mentioned this before, I use blue as a theme heavily here, lighter, darker, and then even darker, and then the lightest part here, and then this is just highlighter strokes. Same shadow effect here, same outline method here. I really like this one, so I'm kind of using it a lot. Just a regular cursive header. And then when I'm going really quick in class, I usually use my medium width and then underline it so I know exactly where I am. And then again, here's this. Let's talk about the way I take my notes. Let's actually go over the toolbar first real quick. Eraser, I always have it on the smallest one because I'm writing a lot pretty small and it's pretty time consuming to do it, so I don't want to like accidentally erase a bunch of stuff. For the eraser, same thing as notability. You can do the whole stroke, or if you want to, you could do standard eraser, which is just like increments of the stroke. Or you can do precision eraser, which is you erasing exactly what you're doing. You can also have these different settings turned on, but this is just how I like to have mine. For the highlighter, draw on a straight line, so that means if I do that and I just hold it, well, that was kind of curved, bad example. So if I have it in a straight line, it does that. Forgot to mention that happens on notability as well. And then here, the highlighter colors I usually have yellow, blue, and green, and I have it usually on this medium width. So the widths that I have are 2.5 millimeters or 4.6. 4.6 is a weird one. I'm gonna go to 4.5 because it's a nicer number. And then this huge one, 6.95. Shapes, when you select this, you can draw like a pretty rough shape and it'll automatically connect to it, which is really good in math. And if you want to adjust it, you just tap on it with your finger, not the pencil, and then you can just move these like vector points to where you want. Also, if you want to have the setting to require to hold to snap, which means if I do this, it's not going to automatically do it until I hold it down and I don't move my pen. And then doing this, you can also adjust the size if you have not lifted up yet. Also with this, if you want to fill the color, that's how I did this little like semi-opaque background. See how it just fills in? So that's also a good way to get your terms. Oh, I'm still in the shape thing. Oops. But yeah, I don't usually have it to be filled color, and I don't usually have required hold to snap. This lasso tool is the same thing as the notability one. With this one, you can't do the box method. You have to do like make your own shape. You can deselect all this. So this just means that it will select all the handwriting, but it won't select any images, but it will select text boxes and comments. So you have to make your own shape, or you can do like that, and I'll just move this part. This tab is stickers. I used this one in the first unit just to mark it up a little bit and make it stand out. Is this one for the ATP energy thing? I use like a yellow sticky note. Here is images, so you can just select. You can also take your own image if you want. So like if you want to take a picture of like lecture slides or something like that, you can do it this way. You can also tap it again, and then you have all your pictures here that you can select from, and you also have them up here, but this only goes to like so far. Here you have a text box, and you just tap in, you write like hello. You can set it to be a default text. I have it to be Futura. I don't actually know why. You can also select it to be a default font size, and then you can align it color text box. So if I want to have like a rounded green box, and these lines right here allows you to move around. These dots allows you to stretch. Essentially, when you're under the text tool, you can just tap wherever you want to have a text box, and that's how you get it to save to default once you have all your settings adjusted. Another thing I really like about GoodNotes and Notability just out of this feature is the zoom tool. So you can adjust this size as you want. You can also adjust where this is on your paper. I like to have it sort of up here so I have room to put rest my hand but also see the stuff. And when you're in here in the zoom tool, you can also zoom out, which is really nice to see like the overview of what you've been doing. So let's say I'm writing notes. This blue section, as you can see here, let's zoom in a little bit, is so you don't have to keep scrolling over and over, which is really nice. So I can continue writing. This button here moves it backwards. This button here moves it forwards. This button here moves it down to the next line. You can also align it over. One weird quirk about GoodNotes that I don't like, and I don't really have an explanation for, is when you select something, and if you want to move it to the page above or after, it won't let you, which is something that Notability allows you to do. So this is really annoying. So if I say I wanted to copy this to move up to that page, I would have to hit copy and then hold down, and then you hit paste, which is kind of a bummer, but I mean, like, it's more an inconvenience. I hope they fix that in the future. Here are all the presets, but if you want to add your own preset, you could take one of these, hit add to preset, or if you don't want one of these, you can put your own hex color in, or make it on the color wheel, and then you hit the add to presets. For the brush pens, I usually use the medium width. As you can see, you really can notice like shakiness in my writing. If you are familiar with Procreate, it doesn't have like streamline, so it just goes with exactly what you're doing. To do the like shadow thing, I always use the ball pen and then the thinnest one. So that's how you do sort of like the shadowy effect. If I just want to like write in all caps, I usually just go with the height of the box in the grid spacing. You also have the search, so if you want to search for like ATP, it'll recognizes your handwriting, which is pretty freaking cool if you ask me. I mean, it also tries to figure out what you've actually said. I don't know what the outline is because I've never actually used this feature. If you want to bookmark a page, like let's say I want to bookmark my muscles unit, I hit the little bookmark, and then when you're in here in the notes overview, it's pretty easy to see. And then if you want to export it, it's got all these things. You can also share it if you have somebody else who uses GoodNotes. You guys want to like collab on a document. This just gets rid of like the top part to make it cleaner, I guess. I never use this. I like having all my tools right there. Also, if you wanted to do split screen, you could drag this and pop it over here. So if you want to refer to like your notes on one notebook, but you want to like write about it in another, you can do that. For both USH and my AP Lang class, I did have documents I had to highlight, so I would import them. So this is an article I had to read for my English class, and this was just me like as having a key. So the green were the quotes and stuff I need to remember, and then the yellow was just general. I want to show you guys some of my English and history notes in GoodNotes versus what they were in Notability. So these are my English notes. I'm just gonna scroll through them, put some like nice music on in the background, so enjoy. Oh, I remember being very, very proud of this note. Look at the header, look at the outlined images, look at the color scheme. beautiful. Alright, that is going to be it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you have any questions, please leave them down below. If you have any other iPad videos you want me to do in the future, also leave them down below. Question of the day, do you guys also take notes on your iPad or a tablet, or do you take paper notes? Let me know down below. Don't forget to check out all my other iPad videos. They will be linked down below, and all the equipment and everything. And I will see you guys very, very soon.